Hello everybody and welcome back to another SUPboarder review. This time we are taking a look at the 2024 Starboard range of longboard SUPs. They have brand new designs this year and also a new size in the range. We're going to be going through the specifications of the boards we have here in the studio, going through the fittings, taking a look at the pros, cons, how they felt on the water, the value for money, and of course, who these boards are going to suit. So make sure you do stick around to the end of the video to find out all of this information. The boards we have in the studio today, we have three sizes of the longboard: the 10 feet by 29 inch wide, the new size of 9.5 by 30 inches wide, and the smaller 9 feet by 28 inches wide. Starboard also do offer a 10 feet by 31 inch wide as their biggest board, and also a 9 feet by 26 inch wide as their smallest board. The prices of these boards do differ because of the different constructions. If you're looking to get the longboard in the limited construction, you'll be looking at a price of $1,299 US dollars, 1,599 Australian dollars, or 1,199 pounds. Then moving up to the blue carbon construction, looking at 2,199 US dollars, 2,399 Australian dollars, or 1,899 pounds. The limited construction uses twin stringers on the deck and bottom, and that works together to increase the overall strength. There's an additional layer of glass wraps on the rail and also a 0.6mm Australian pine under the standing area for that impact resistance. Looking at the blue carbon construction, now this is their top grade biaxial carbon wrap, and that wraps the entire board. They have UD carbon stringers, which helps to increase that strength, and 2 layers of glass wrap on the core underneath that carbon to create a super strong shell. There's also that Australian pine underneath the standing area. The blue carbon is a little bit lighter in weight than the limited series construction. So a little bit about Starboard. Well, if you haven't heard of them before, they are definitely a market leader in the stand-up paddleboarding industry and a market leader as well in their environmental credibility too, because they are planting lots of mangroves and they do offset all of their emissions as well. They are using recycled materials in their products as well, and also trying to find different ways to manufacture and produce boards that's more eco-friendly. They have lots of different cleanup projects and plastic projects as well. They really are ahead of their time and ahead of a lot of other companies in the world in terms of their environmental credibility, but also with their surf shapes and designs as well. So let's take a look at those now. Starting off with the fittings on the board, on the nose of all of these boards, they have a star touch feel, so grippy when wet, smooth when dry. Moving back, they have a nice big deck pad, crocodile skin, diamond grooves, and it feeds all the way back through to a ridge on the tail pad and also a big kicker at the back to wedge your foot up against. The center carry handle is very comfortable and well balanced. Leashing point behind the deck pad, and then flipping it over, we have the 2+1 fin setup, US center fin box with those FCS side fins. The fin sizes you get in the board, they are 185 center US fin box with 4.5 inch side fins. You notice you'll get the carbon fins for the blue carbon construction and the Armor Core center fin with the net positive side fins on the limited. The outline shape of the 2024 boards has changed a little bit. The nose has been pulled in slightly to create a narrower outline, which helps to reduce the swing weight when turning. The tail shape has also changed from a diamond tail on the previous 2023 boards to now a pin tail, which helps with drive and hold. The bottom shape has evolved to have a single concave under the nose, and then there's a V underneath the standing area and out through the tail. Now, the 2023 longboards, with the exception of the smallest 9 feet by 26 inch wide, they all used to have a very hard V running through the whole bottom shape, which made it much more technical to ride, and very noticeable when you were walking up to the nose as the board would rock side to side a little bit. With this new bottom shape, it gives you more forgiveness, makes it easier to paddle, balance, and walk the board, and has that soft V, which still enables it to transition from side to side during turns. The rocker line on these boards has been updated as well. The overall rocker has been lowered to help with nose riding and also increases the paddle speed. A little bit of tail lift helps to maneuver the board from the tail and still create a performance longboard. The biggest difference we noticed in the 2024 boards though are these super thin rails. Starboard even have mentioned themselves this might be their thinnest and most refined rail they have ever designed in a surf SUP. The thickness of the different boards all averages out at about 4 inches, and all of that bulk is really in the middle of the board, around that standing area, because the rails are super thin. Looking at it here, it's not that dissimilar to a normal prone longboard thickness, and even a bigger shortboard to a degree. So what do those thin rails mean toward the tail of the board? Well, it just increases the sensitivity. So especially as a lighter weight rider getting onto a longboard SUP, you're going to be able to step back toward the tail and turn it a lot easier than you would having a board with really thick rails. But as a heavier rider, it increases the sensitivity even more. So if you are at that more advanced level, you're going to be able to turn this board on a dime. It's going to really react to your movements very, very quickly. And the refined rails on the nose is going to help with nose riding, locking that rail in, but also just reducing the bulk in the front of the board and reducing that swing weight. Although the rails are super thin, it is very, very stable for a SUP longboard, and they are very easy to paddle over waves. That's down to that bottom shape without the hard V, and also that flatter rocker too. The deck shapes are fairly flat, although they do have a slight dome to it, so that does help with stability too. That all leads down to catching waves nice and easily because they do paddle very, very fast. I did notice the 10 feet by 29 being a little bit more technical to ride because of its width. Those thin rails does make it sensitive when stepping off of that center line, and that narrower nose means you have a little bit less forgiveness, so you really need to be right on that center line walking along the board. One thing I will note as well is if you're at that lower level that I feel the rocker line kind of hinders setting up nose rides as well, because with a flatter rocker, you're going to need to be able to be in a bit more of a critical section, and you're going to have to find a little bit more of a steeper or kind of pocket of the wave to be able to set up your nose ride. The reason for that is if you were nose riding out on the shoulder of the wave where the wave's quite flat, a flat rocker with a flat wave doesn't really work when you are getting forward, because that nose is going to eventually drop down and you're going to nosedive. You really want a little bit of rocker as a beginner paddler or beginner looking to get into nose riding, so that nose holds you up a little bit and you can walk up to the nose of the board. However, what I will say though is that once you were on the nose and locked in that critical section, it felt super nice because of that flatter rocker holds speed, and those thin rails could really feel them holding into the wave as well. Now, getting off the nose and stepping back onto the tail with their performance, how did it feel on the turns? Well, I was quite excited by these boards. With that flatter rocker, I thought maybe it might feel like a bit of a longer board, but those thin rails, that really refined rail and tail shape gives it so much performance, and it carves around super well. Again, those thin rails really help to lock in the wave and engage and sink in. That way you can really push hard and carve around on these boards. I even noticed that on that 9.5 by 30 inches, which is the widest board that we have here, that it just turned effortlessly. Looking at the longer 10 feet shape, that turned very nicely in the small waves, and even with a flatter rocker, I still feel like it turned quite well in steeper little sections. Although the waves were pretty small, we had it in some, steep sections there, and the board still turned really well. So I think that really comes down to having that sensitivity from the tail. So looking at the pros of these boards, well, I think we've said it already. They just feel really good. I love the updates to the 2024 range. It really feels like a great traditional longboard style mixed in with some really great performance as well. So you're getting a very good blend of that. The con that I will say about just the limited construction, and I think I've said this in quite a few other videos when I have been reviewing the Starboard Surf SUPs in this construction, is that they do come with those upcycled fishing net fins for the side fins, and they do flex a little bit. Once the surf gets a bit more challenging and a bit more powerful, a bit bigger as well, and you need to rely on those fins, though you really are going to feel those fins flex a little bit when you are turning. And even though the waves were small, I kind of noticed it as well. And one other con I'll mention as well is just the Star Touch. It's not super grippy as other boards have been in the past. You'd probably want to wax it if you were thinking of nose riding. Value for money, and I feel like you're getting great value for money with these boards. Even though they are at that premium price point, you're paying for a great board, you're paying into the brand that's giving back to the environment, and you are really going to be able to perform on these boards. Let's get into who these boards are going to suit, and I'll go through each board individually because I feel like I need to give a little bit more explanation about each of those boards. The 10 feet by 31 inch wide, it's definitely going to suit those heavier riders upwards to 90, 95, 100, 105, maybe even 110 kilograms if you are at that more advanced level. But as a beginner rider, I'd definitely be looking at that board to give you the most stability getting into SUP longboarding, something that's going to give you lots of glide as well. And you will be able to still have a lot of fun, learn a lot of things on that board. And you could be that beginner rider at that lower weight limit, say, 70 to 85, 90 kilogram rider getting on the 10 feet by 31 inch. Looking at the 10 feet by 29 inch, this is kind of your more high performance 10-foot board. Those people with a bit more experience riding it, like we said before, with that narrower nose, 29 inches of width, that is technical to walk up to the nose of that board. So those riders, a bit more experience, that higher beginner or intermediate rider, or even advanced looking for that performance longboard, in that weight range of 70 to 90 kilograms would be perfect on that board. And then moving into the 9.5 by 30 inch wide, I was really chuffed that they brought this size into the range. They definitely needed something in between, and I could see this board being a real hit for a lot of people because it really blends that, obviously a smaller board's going to turn quicker, longer board's going to catch waves easier, be able to nose ride a bit better because of that stability. So it blends all of that together, and I really enjoyed riding this board. This board is going to be suiting basically beginner riders up to those advanced riders as well. Beginner riders, you could probably be getting on this board at 60 to 80 kilograms and having a lot of fun, maybe even up to 85 kilograms. I quite enjoyed riding it as that kind of heavier rider, 85 kilograms, great stability on the board. And then if you were that kind of advanced rider, you could probably go up to 100 kilograms or 95 kilograms with this. It is only 124 liters, so although it's on the lower literage, that width and the rocker just give you great stability. Looking at the 9 feet by 28 inch wide, this board is definitely your more high performance board. Those riders getting into SUP longboarding or looking at getting a more performance SUP longboard, but still with the stability of a 28 inch width. You could ride this as a beginner in that 50 to 70 kilogram weight range. Anything heavier than that, I probably would suggest getting the 9.5 or the 10 footer as that beginner rider. But if you're at the higher level of ability, you could jump on this board and still be really comfortable on it. And then the difference between the 28 inch wide and the 9 feet by 26 inch wide is that's kind of your really high performance SUP for your advanced riders. So you're looking at, your Zanes and your Benoits and all those people on the Starboard team. Probably myself, I'd probably get one of those boards as well because it's going to offer some great performance. You'll be able to get that board up into the lip and surf it really, really well, but also nose ride it quite well too. So there you go. That's who all of these boards are going to suit. We really hope that you found that insightful, and hopefully these boards might be for you. I'm going to wrap it up by saying that the 2024 changes are very welcome, and I do like that Starboard are pushing forward with SUP longboarding and creating a great range from it as well, bringing out this new size and offering it in a couple of different constructions, so different prices as well. There is a bit of a weight difference in the constructions, yes, but still limited. It's going to get you out on the water, having fun, enjoying it, and it's nice and strong as well. If you have any questions of anything that we've mentioned in this video, please do let me know. Happy to answer those for you. Thank you very much for tuning into this SUPboarder review, and we'll look forward to seeing you on another one very, very soon.